Tabernacles.
Allow y'all.
He's smiling now. The children out here, you know, Israel is out here, man, trying to keep these commandments, man. You know, it's a beautiful thing to keep tabernacles. It's a beautiful thing to keep commandments of God and follow Christ's example. You know, we're about to do the lesson. Y'all gonna understand that this is what Christ was doing, following God, man. You know, if you miss tabernacles, we're sorry we missed you. We'll be with you in the spirit. Try to make it out here next year. Alright, so on.
Everything belong to you and you can make advantage. You the Alpha and Omega, got every advantage. If you mark iniquities, that ain't nobody standing. Earthquakes, tornadoes, floods, they keeping commandments. The sun and moon is in his order just by our saying it. You put the sand.
Shalom, Tabernacles 2024. I don't know if you are here where you at. It's just impossible to duplicate this feeling spiritually around your brethren. So, Israel, to our Patreon members, our YouTube members, we want you to come feast with us. It's a beautiful thing. Holy convocation. Shalom.
I pray that they hear it. It all belong to you, seeking with fear and trembling. Noah was found perfect, y'all the waters help. Obedience bringing
when you
righteousness.
pray for patience, how is the Most High going to give you patience? Test you. He's going to put you through a test. He's not just going to prove, okay, I go out, he got patience now. He's going to put an opportunity in front of you so you can show forth the faith or the patience. Right? But then soon as the situations come, you don't want it. You trying to rush through it. You trying to find every different opportunity or way to figure it out instead of using the patience that you asked for. Very uncomfortable. Same thing with the faith. We always pray, Yahweh, increase my faith. He put a situation for you to show forth the faith. Don't do it.
He said in prayers, but we still think it's our story.
You don't just thank the Most High when He rewards you. You thank the Most High when you're going through, because that displays your faith. Don? Read on.
Knowing that tribulation worketh patience.
Knowing that tribulation worketh what?
Patience.
Ain't that what Cap Yaquab said? Knowing that tribulation worketh your patience. Okay? You have to endure to the end. Hey, you're not getting the kingdom just because you're an Israelite.
A holy man that was teaching us
You have to endure to the end.
Bishop of our souls, y'all, we gotta labor. Psalms 102 and 13, it's the time of favor. Messiah got the keys, don't let the devil cage you. No, when it all said and done, no one to be a stranger.
Till 5 o'clock in the morning to serve the Lord. Because you ask how? By being brothers and sisters, you're being obedient. And by loving your neighbor, you're being obedient. And keeping the great commandment, and that is serving Him. So that's what we did all night, all right? So make sure you get in tune with this truth and you find you a body to do this work with so that you can do the same thing that we're doing. It's very important and it's spiritual, all right?
To the east, that land belong to me.
Yes, it all belongs to you. Oh, yeah, it all belongs to you.
The truth, you know. Hey, yo, you recording? You recording? All praises.
It's time to rise up. No more being lazy. Cause when you know the truth, that's when they call you crazy. See, round here, it ain't all gravy. Some people rhyme with scraps, and it's all safety. They say what goes around comes around. I guess that's why some of my enemies don't come around. I speak the truth in every bar. And it's a light in every star. Let's wake up and realize who we are. Why? Because there's blood behind every scar. Look, the Jews were black, it's written in the book. They say you wanna hide something from a black man and put it in the book. Hey, facts. But that's just how it is. It's sad, but that's just how it is. But we get blamed for the way we live. But they never blame the ones that taught it to us. It's just a life cycle, but I'm just trying to be the best, just like Michael. It's been a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. Where I come from, you gotta put away your fears. Only a few wanna see you up, but most people wanna see you down. That's why my smile, it turned to a frown. When you a king, you deserve a crown. It's all praises to the Most High. I'ma keep His commandments till I die. I know sometimes we like to ask why, but I learned that you gotta let the Lord work. He do it. I know I'm here for a reason. Damn, they killing for no reason. Yeah, it's been a bloody season. My people constantly fighting demons. See, I appreciate everything. All the love, all the hate, I mean everything. Giving wisdom to my offspring. We laced up like shoestrings. Just putting on for the home team. They'll try to block your shine like sunscreen. They will. Yeah. Hey, don't mind me just giving wisdom to my offsprings. Hey, let's keep the holy days, and stay away from old ways, Let's keep the holy days, and stay away from old ways. Let's keep the holy days, and stay away from old ways. Let's keep the holy days, and stay away from old ways. All praises to the Most High. Sure, it's King.
Welcome to the Truth of Yah. The Truth of Yah's board game's mission is to humble the world in the truth of Yah. The Truth of Yah's board game's vision is to build up the poor man and woman in spirit. Many people are deceived by lies, deceit, fraud, pride, forward mouth, arrogance, and evil ways. The poor in spirit are attacked daily. The vision to build up the spirit is to cause people only to walk in the ways of Yahweh, just as his son Yahweh Shai and the prophets did, by not just speaking the word, but by putting every word Yahweh spoke into action.
We're the sons of Thunder Israelites, and it's our heart's prayer and desire that you all get the Truth of Yah game.
Use our discount code SOT for additional savings.
Shalom. All right, let's play, man. Let's get it, man. Let's get it going.
Welcome to Pillars of Rest, where you can find special material for our sisters, by our sisters. This is a Sons of Thunder exclusive platform focused on building, encouraging, uplifting, and engaging with the daughters of Zion. Here you'll find personalized and interactive content geared towards showing what it truly means to be a pillar of rest. Interviews, scripture breakdowns, tips on motherhood, marriage, and testimonials are just the beginning of the many things to learn from and enjoy in this program.
Shalom, I'm Sister Mayan, a student ambassador for the Spiritual Midwifery program. Spiritual midwifery has changed my perspective in a positive way when it comes to birth work. It has made me confident that I'm taking on the role that the Most High has chosen me for. I feel as though it has provided me with the right tools to better serve my current clients as a doula and future clients as a midwife. What makes spiritual midwifery stand out more than other trainings and programs is that it's much more personable. Just being able to learn with and learn from sisters that are like-minded brings out a level of closeness and spirituality that cannot be achieved by anything not ordained by the Most High. I can definitely feel His presence every time class meets. I would definitely recommend the program to other Hebrew women pursuing midwifery. It's such a joy to learn from another Hebrew sister and also have a community of sisters to learn with that face the same daily struggles that we face in life.
Shalom, 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 family. First and foremost, I have to give all praises, all glory, and all honor unto the Most High God, Yahweh. Of course, I do so in the name of His only begotten Son, Yahushai, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. It's your brother Ariala of Sakari, and I am excited to present to you, the nation of Israel, the official Hebrew Israelite Bible. Now, this has been the culmination of 4 long years of hard work, and it is available for purchase at hibofficialzion.com. Get yours today.
Shalom, shalom, Yashallah, Shah Shabbat. Shah Shabbat to everybody that's tuned in. To all the members, YouTube members, Patreon members, the subscribers, right? Brothers in the camp, pillars of rest, the haters. We can't do it without y'all either, man. Everybody that hates Israelite doctrine, we glad y'all here too. Matter of fact, hit the like button. To the haters, hit the like button. To the haters, hey, Shabbat Shalom. Hey, because they could be converted too, man. Through the will of Yahweh, man. Through the will of Yah, they can be converted and come over to this thing too, right? Hey, some brothers and sisters was adversaries at first. They was hating, man. They hated the doctrine. They didn't want to hear it. They was in love with white Jesus, right? They thought their pastor was right? They was talking to Granny, and they swore up and down Granny was right. You was a scoffer at one point. Guess what? Now you on this side. So Shabbat Shalom to the scoffers, to the ones that hate this our doctrine, and those that don't want to see, us prevail in doctrine, because the Israelites got the best doctrine out there. Period.
Facts.
Period. The Israelite, matter of fact, if we think about it, the Israelites have the only true doctrine. Hey, Adawan, can I see the Adawan in the chat? Shalom to the elder. Yabashim Shabbat.
Shalom, Yabashim Shabbat. Shalom.
Israelites have the only true doctrine. Think about it. That's it. Every other doctrine is false. They got some, bits and pieces, but for them, nah. You talking about a complete doctrine? I don't want to say this facts. You're talking about a complete doctrine. That's what the Israelites had. And we're going to prove that today with this lesson, right? Y'all see the title? This is another episode of Bar4Bar, the word Gentile. Learn this. Gotta learn this, man. I don't want was this lesson was inspired by I don't want was talking to a dude on Clubhouse. He kind of mentioned it briefly last night. I think his name is Jada or something like that. And he was defining the word Gentile and saying that it basically cannot mean Israelite ever. And he had a following and an audience that was behind him. And it seemed like every time the Adawan made the point and showed a scripture where this clearly can mean Israelite, the word only means nation, as we're going to get into. It's like they didn't even address it. They looked right past it. They didn't hear it. It's like they had a block. Oh, let me show y'all something. This is the stronghold. Hold on, man. Hold on real quick. This is the stronghold that Christianity got on our people. Hold on real quick. This is the stronghold that Christianity got on our people, man. Listen, yo, this is crazy. Y'all check this out. No folly, but this is real.
Anytime brothers say no folly. Sure to follow.
That's my fair use. Here we go. I'm gonna change that to fair use. All right. Let me loop that twice. I'm gonna let that play twice. All right, this is fair use. This is only for educational purposes only. Right, this is only for educational purposes only. This is the stronghold that is on our people. This is how they is. They is being watched. They is choked. Christianity got them in. First of all, they sleep. This is them, literally. They sleep like Maurice right here. They sleep. The scriptures tell you awake.
Good.
They sleep. And this is the chokehold that this religion has on our people. That's it. They end it like that. That's it. They are in the chokehold like that, man. Jesus, mama, grandmama, Pastor Paul, and he ain't here to save them, man. He is not here to save them. But our people are in chokehold Christianity like Lil Jody, man. I'm telling you. I said that the other day. I was like, yo, they in a chokehold, man. They are in a chokehold, man. They get up out of here. Yeah, they want the Israelites to get up out of here, and they choked out, man.
Yeah, that's right.
As soon as they learn the Trinity,
I stayed off your ass out of
That's it. As soon as they learn the Trinity, forgiveness, don't keep no laws, baptized and don't change. As soon as they learned all that, they was in the chokehold, man. They didn't have to read. They didn't have to study. Let's keep. Hey, I don't want my Kaya. Let's keep it a buck. I don't want.
Shalom.
I'm not going to say that we can go back and see debates, right? We can go back and see the debates of Edomites, James White, and them. They debated, studying the scriptures. But for the so-called black Christians, oh yeah, the Israelites got y'all boys studying. We got y'all studying. And I'm not saying me in particular, but the elders and the brothers that's been putting this work, Priest Zabad, Bishop Nathaniel, right? Elder Tahar. I don't want to miss nobody. All the elders, man. Elder Shalimah, right? Minister Shalimah from LOZ. The brothers, the elders that's been putting this work in for 30 plus years, they the reason these Christians, these black Christians, so-called black Christians, is studying the Bible, man.
And Salakia, they even changed their format. They'll be sitting up having to read in the pulpit. You know?
Teaching just like us now. You cut when y'all started saying that. I never heard my pastor say that. Now we cut and all that. I don't want to say that's all facts. All right. So before we get into the class, I just want to bring that out, man. Before we get into the class, right? Go over a few announcements. Do we have the new moon here? The 8th month? No, it's the 9th month, I believe. All right. So we got new moon, 9th month, November 30th. You have no reason not to be there. Right? You have no reason not to be there. It's on a Sabbath. The November 30th is Saturday. So it's going to be that Saturday at even. Right? So make sure you're there in ATL. We're going to start around 7:30, 7:45. Be on time. If it start at 7:45, that means you need to leave your house if you live in Atlanta at 6:45. Matter of fact, you're going to be at camp already. So you should have no reason to be late. Take that back. You have no reason to be late. So make sure you're on time. Instead of going with an empty stomach and being ready to eat, go with the mindset of what can I bring or what can I do to help further the feast. That's the mindset of the brothers in the camp gotta have. Not what can I consume, but what can I give. Right? What can I give? Right? And then the next feast day is going to be Feast of Dedication. That's going to be December 24th. And Lord willing, by then, I seen Malachi in the back. He was working on the calendar. Lord willing, by then, we should have a new calendar. It might not be out, but the dates will be finalized, so to speak. Right? So we'll be working on that. Me, him, I don't know, Malachi. We're putting some work in the back. Get some other brothers to help with that. So that's it for the what's coming up announcements, calendar. Don't forget, man. Listen, what Day of Atonement was almost a month ago now, right? Day of Atonement was almost a month ago, right? Don't forget, man. It's not the season; it's the mindset. We still in that. Like, if you went back to your seasonal mindset, you're going off, right? You should be in this consistent and dedicated race. Sometimes you look at the elder man, or you look at brothers that's going hard. And it's two words I see when I see brothers that's always going hard. It's consistency and it's dedication. When I'm not consistent, I'm dedicated to do it. And when I'm not feeling dedicated to do it, I'm just going to stay consistent. That's it. It's just that simple. It's really that simple, but are you going to do it? Right? The other one, Priest of read the scripture not this Sabbath, but last Sabbath about brothers doing that work willingly. That's what it got to be. Doing the work willingly, point blank, period. Right? So without further ado, let's jump into this lesson. We're going to start with the definition of Gentile. I'm going to just first get it from the Compact Bible Dictionary in the Vanderbilt. Does a brother have this they can read? We're going to start here. You
want to read out the Zondervan?
Come, please, Cap. Bible Kashan. All right. Y'all gotta make sure y'all get tools. Obviously, the internet is convenient, but hey, it's tools, man. You gotta have books to help you study. I don't want to say brothers don't use this concordance. It's over there. I got it. Right? Brothers got to start using their tools as well. Right? When you're talking about going into, because when we talk about, SOT has coined that diction does not determine doctrine. So you gotta go into the Strongs. You gotta go into different definitions and see how the Edomites that had our Bible for thousands of years have defined these words, and they're biased in defining these words because of their doctrine. Right? Gotta look into that. So read that for me, Cap.
I'll start Gentiles at the top. For those who are following along, it's on page 195 of your Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary.
Real quick, she said like the SOT has a physical copy of the calendar. Hey, we're gonna have that Lord willing available this year, right? We're gonna have that available this year. That's something that's in the works, is having a physical copy, that brothers and sisters can have, right? Go ahead, Art.
It says, usually it means a non-Israelite people.
Read that part again.
Usually, it means a non-Israelite people.
So it says usually, that's a very key word. Usually is coined as a non-Israelite people, right? Usually, though, not every time, but usually. Now, that definition has transpired over the years, right? As I feel like our doctrine continues to come out, they're willing, or if we get an updated compact Vanderbilt Bible, they might take the word usually out and just put a non-Israelite people, because that's how most Strongs and concordances define that word, right? So let's get that really quick. Let's just start at a simple Bible app, right? Very simple. Is this the one I want? Yeah, Bible study tools, right? See, they got all these different nations, but they got one black dude. All right. So where do I want to start? Let me see. Gentiles, and who are they today? Is this the website you sent me, Nassim?
Counter to one.
Okay, let me find it real quick. Hold on. Where is the just pure definition? It was on here. Hold on, real quick. Okay, right here. Right there. Okay, perfect. I was scrolling past it. Let's read this. Can y'all see that? Need me to zoom in?
That's good.
Okay, Con.
The Greek word most often translated as Gentile is
ethnos.
Ethnos.
Mm-hmm.
The word means nation or people. In the Bible, when this word is used, it is not describing one nation or ethnic group. Rather, the term Gentile refers to anyone who is not of Jewish descent.
Now, I want you to remember that. And when they say Jewish descent, what they're really saying is Israelite descent.
Okay.
Right? So they're saying the word Gentile is not describing anyone of Israelite descent. Read on.
Gentile would also broadly describe those who do not believe in God.
Right? But can't a so-called Jewish person not believe in God? So see how even this article can cut itself. Wait, so you're telling me, what if it's an Israelite that doesn't believe in God? Are they a Gentile now too? See that? So this website even cuts itself. But let's go back and tear the layers off of this thing with this word Gentile, and let's get into the etymology of this word, right? Because this word goes back somewhere, and they're putting a definition on it for its religious dogma or its religious bias when it says a Gentile refers to anyone who is not of Jewish descent.
Right? So, like, you see that right there? Look at the last sentence right there. Make this questionable. It says, in the Old Testament, we find accounts of Gentiles becoming Jewish converts and followers of God, such as the prophet Obadiah, who was from Edom. It's saying Obadiah was an Edomite.
Doctrines.
What? Hey,
doctrines.
They must have never read the book of Obadiah for them to write that.
That's the only way, because that don't even make sense. That does not even make sense, right? Let me pull up this other article. Right. If y'all want this article, y'all could email us in the back too. If y'all want these different articles, that one is a simple find. Hold on, this is not doing what I wanted to do. So let me copy and paste. All right. That's crazy that it said that though. Like,
yeah,
nobody believes that.
Precept I don't want.
Go ahead, King.
Mm-hmm.
Just want to get the book of Amos chapter 2 in verse number, I'm going to get the book of Amos chapter 2 and verse 11. And I raised up of your sons for prophets, and of your young men for Nazarites. Is it not even thus, O ye children of Israel, saith the Lord?
That's right.
So Obadiah being a prophet from Edom, that don't even make no sense. A prophet of the Lord from Edom. Wow.
Why would the prophet of Edom be telling him stuff that he's gonna die and all his people? For what reason?
Doctrines.
Let's go to Sirach too, real quick. Let's get the prologue of Sirach. Let's make this point where it talks about.
Say anything other than Hebrew and translate it to another tongue.
Come on, let's read that.
All right.
I got it.
Bring it out.
It reads, it's the prologue of Sirach. Wherefore, let me entreat you to read it with favor and attention, and to pardon us wherein we may seem to come short of some words, which we have labored to interpret. For the same things uttered in Hebrew and translated into another tongue have not the same force in them.
So things translated, when it's translated out of Hebrew, it doesn't have the same force, right? And the brother tried to act like he could not understand that. And I'm just thinking to myself, everybody on this stage understands that. For the 30, 40 odd people that was in the room, right? And there was like 12, 15 people on stage that agreed. If I'm saying something in Spanish, there are some words that don't translate it or translate. So the saying is going to lose its force. It happens a lot too when I speak to my Levi brothers, my Haitians, my Zos, and they said something in Creole. I'm like, what he said? And it's like he kind of made up a sentence for me in English because he was like, it don't really say, I can't, there's not words for that. So this is the closest I can get for you. Right? It's the same thing. In Hebrew to Latin, Hebrew to Greek, some things are not going to be able to translate. So the translators have to insert words for us to make it easier for us to understand. I don't see how people don't understand that. That is just common knowledge amongst all people that speak different languages. Right? So let's look at this article real quick. Then we're going to get into a few scriptures with this article. Right? This article is by Frank Nelty, right? And it says the use of the word Gentile in the Bible. Let's look at this. Let's read the first part, Nikawashan.
In the Bible, nobody is ever called a Gentile.
That's interesting. Let's see what the point he's trying to make. Come on.
The singular form Gentile appears incorrectly in only two adjacent verses in the King James, namely in Romans 2, 9 through 10.
So what he's trying to say is the singular form of Gentile is incorrect because the word Gentile means a nation, and one individual can't be a nation. That's what he's trying to say, right? So let's go to Romans 2 and 9 to fact check him, because just because he said it, that doesn't mean we believe him, right? We got to go fact check him. So let's go look at Romans 2 and 9 in the blue letter. We'll come back. Let's go fact check this.
There, Romans 2 and 9 to 1.
Okay, read that. I'm gonna get on the screen.
Count to 1. It's the book of Romans, chapter 2 and verse 9. Tribulation and anguish upon every soul of man that doeth evil, of the Jew first, and also of the Gentile.
Right. So he's correct there. The word there is Gentile and not Gentiles plural. Right. So now when we look at the same verse in the blue letter, the word there is not even ethnos. The word that's transliterated for Gentile here is Helen or Helene. Well, let's get the definition of Helene real quick. Right. Let's read that.
This is the outline of biblical usage. A Greek, either by nationality, whether a native of the mainland or of the Greek islands or colonies.
So either Greek by nationality or of their separate colonies or islands. Read, come on.
Number two, in a wider sense, the name embraces all nations, not Jews, that made the language, customs, and learnings of the Greeks their own. The primary reference is to a difference of religion and worship.
Now look at this. It says, in a wider sense, the name embraces all nations, not the Jews, though. Not the Jews. But we know that there is a Hellenistic period of the Jews. There is literally a Hellenistic period of the Jews. Right? But now let's look at this. So what that article is saying is that word literally should be translated Greek. There's neither Jew nor Greek. When you look at verse 10, right? There's neither Jew nor Greek because a singular person cannot be a nation, right? So let's look at this real quick. Let's talk about this because they'll use this diction to determine doctrine, this definition to determine their doctrine. But wait a minute, John 7 teaches otherwise. John 7 teaches otherwise. Let's go to John 7. Let's start at verse 32.
Counter one.
Hold on, let's start at 31.
Counter one. It's the book of John, chapter 7, and verse 31.
Bring it out.
And many of the people believed on him and said, when Christ cometh, will he do more miracles than these which this man hath done?
Come on.
The Pharisees heard that the people murmured such things concerning him. And the Pharisees and the chief priests sent officers to take him. Then said Yahushua unto them, yet a little while I am with you, and then I go unto him that sent me.
He's gonna go unto, he's not gonna become him, he's gonna go unto him. He's gonna go be with him. He's not gonna go become him. Trinity cut, read.
Ye shall seek me and shall not find me, and where I am, thither ye cannot come.
Come on.
Then said the Jews among themselves, whither will he go?
Now
that
wait
we
a
shall
minute.
not find him.
Now the Jews are asking, where is he gonna go that we can't find him?
Right.
Will he go unto the dispersed among the Gentiles and teach the Gentiles?
I remember the word for Gentile in Romans 2 and 9, the Greek word was Helen. What do you suppose this word here is? Let's look at it. Let's look at dispersed first to prove who the Pharisees know who they're talking about. Dispor, right? Let's look at this word. So like I clicked that wrong. Let's look at this word. What's the definition there?
Another one. Dispersed, scattered abroad, scattered. The outline of biblical usage, scattering, dispersion. Number one, of Israelites dispersed among foreign nations.
Right. So let's just get definitions. So that's the second definition. So they say we're not running, but we know who this is talking about. Read.
Right.
Number two, of the Christians scattered abroad among the Gentiles.
See how they put that definition there because we know who the dispersed are. Let's get James 1 and 1 just to prove it. James 1 and 1.
And mind you, like you said, the Pharisees, they had the so-called Old Testament, and there are a plethora of prophecies that discuss the children of Israel being spread amongst the other nations. It's all over the scriptures, right? Amos 9 and 9 is one of them.
Yeah, let's get that too, Cap. Let's get that too. Let's get two witnesses. Read the James real quick, and then let's get Amos 9 and 9.
Count that one. This is the book of James, chapter 1, verse 1.
Bring it out.
James, a servant of God and of the Lord Yahweh Shah HaMashiach, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad.
So we know that the Pharisees know that the dispersed among the Gentiles and teach the Gentiles are the Israelites, because they're the dispersed among the Gentiles, right? And he's going to teach them that they need to keep the laws of God and that they are the Israelites and have faith in Christ. It's going to be the whole teaching, right? Now read your Amos.
This is the book of Amos, chapter 9, verse 9. For lo, I will command, and I will sift the house of Israel among all nations.
Right.
Like as corn is sifted in the sieve, yet shall not the least grain fall upon the earth. Right? So which proves that we should be all there. And then I'm gonna just get one last one, Tobit 13 and 3.
Bring it out. Con.
That one's cool.
Con, that Tobit is tough.
I got it for you. I don't want to
bring it out.
This is the book of Tobit, chapter 13. Go ahead.
You got another one.
This is the book of Tobit, chapter 13, verse 3. Confess him before the Gentiles, ye children of Israel, for he hath scattered us among them.
Heavy. He has scattered us among them. Right? So now when we look at this scripture in John 7, the dispersed we know is the Israelites. So is he going to go to the dispersed among the Gentiles and teach them? But look at the word. I keep doing that, so like it. It's the same word. But we know that this is referring to the Israelites. So how could they have this wider sense definition and say it's not Jews when we know that the dispersed among the Gentiles are the Israelites? Let's get it in Maccabees, because this is the missing history that they don't have. Right? Let's get that they were no longer able to call themselves Jews.
Second Maccabees 6 and 6. You want 1 and 41 too?
Yeah, get 1 and 41 too, and then get 6 and 6.
This is the book of First Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 40. So like it, verse 41. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people.
All should be one people. What is the one people? Greeks. Greeks. Come on.
And everyone should leave his laws, so all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king.
Come on.
Yea, many also of the Israelites.
Many of the Israelites consented to this, meaning they said, yes, we're going to be Greeks. Read.
Consented to his religion and sacrificed unto his idols and profaned the Sabbath.
Come on.
For the king had sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah, that they shall follow the strange laws of the land.
So they're going to come. And now jump to verse 48.
49. Oh, cool, yeah.
Verse 48. That they should also leave their children uncircumcised.
So we're no longer keeping the law. So now 300 years, 400 years before Christ, the Greeks have came and the Israelites have stopped circumcising their children. This is why we now have the conversation in Acts 15 where Paul is discussing circumcision versus uncircumcision. You have in Acts 16, Timothy's father being called a Greek, which is the word Helen again, and they're discussing to circumcise him. Timothy, you have the discussion in Galatians 2 about circumcision, In 1 Corinthians, circumcision.
Mm-hmm.
Ephesians 2, circumcision. All these different churches that Paul is going to, he's discussing circumcision because the Israelites were not allowed to circumcise their children. They consented to the law of this heathen king. But Christianity has basically are all Protestants and have removed the Apocrypha, right? Or don't believe in it, or don't conclude it as canon, and they missed this entire concept. So they missed what you say, I heard around a 400 to 300 span of history and got right to the Romans. And got right to the Romans, all right?
The whole Greco-Roman period, because when you think there was a big time between the so-called Old Testament and those that were in rule then. Now you got the Greeks coming up. We got the Greco-Roman period. We got, as Rome was trying to still stamp out all of the Germanic tribes and the crazy Edomite tribes, up until now, sure, they full-fledged in power during the time of Rome. That's a lot of history missing and gone. And it was, if you go ahead, jump to verse 56. Because see, even right there during the Greek time, one of the first things they did is said, listen, we got to get rid of all this history. We got to cover up what we've done. Same thing like Napoleon, what he did is what? Took off the noses. What did he do? He hid, because they did not burn, they hid the Library of Alexandria. They hide all this history, and they basically whitewash you and say, listen, well, you're American now, or you're Greek now. Esau is the only person that does that, is that wants you to disassociate yourself from your ethnic background and fall under his umbrella, because that's how he can spread his perversion, right? And verse 56, go ahead.
Read 49 first, Cap, and then jump to 56.
Found out about verse 49. To the end they might forget the law and change all the ordinances.
Now that's heavy. Forget the law and change all the ordinances. But that means they're going to assimilate themselves in the Greek culture, speak Greek, want to be Greeks, dress like them, talk like them, celebrate their holidays, do what they do, worship their gods, and all these other things. But look what this says, man.
Yeah, verse 50.
Inhabitants, Greek-speaking person, especially a non-Jew. Why would it say that if the Israelites or the Jews assimilate themselves fully into Greek culture for 400 to 300 years, man? The definition is a total lie. All right, go ahead, the Cap verse.
No, just read verse 50 just to get the consequence, and then we can jump over.
Found out one. Verse 50. And whosoever would not do according to the commandment of the king, he said he should die.
You see? So you were being killed. Absolutely. You were being killed if you tried at all to hold on to your culture. You know, even if you look at, for instance, in the Emperor Constantine in 321 AD, when he made that edict to change the Sabbath from Saturday to Sunday as the day of the Lord, if you read it, he said anybody caught Judaizing or practicing any laws or honoring the Sabbath at all, trying to stop from work, they will be found as a heretic. You know, that's what I mean, because they know that if we follow our laws and statutes and customs, the Lord's going to have us. But the more that they can disassociate from us from our culture, then they could take hold of us, right? Pursuant to the book of Judith 5:19 and 20, right? But go ahead, read that.
Verse 56. And when they had rent in pieces the books of the law which they found, they burnt them with fire.
You see, because you got to remember, our law, this scripture was our family history. That's why we would write the book of Chronicles. That's why we would write, this person begot that person begot that person. Sirach, the book of Sirach or Ecclesiastes, chapter 17, verse 11, tells you these law is your heritage. So when they were tearing up the book of the law, they were absolutely trying to destroy our heritage and our culture. And so that way we would just wake up, hey, I guess I'm Greek today. My name is whatever Greek name, right? And not who we actually are, right? Go ahead.
So like verse 57. And wheresoever was found with any of the book of the testament, or if any consented to the law, the king's commandment was that they should put him to death.
You see? So they tried to get us, they tried to ban the Bible, just the same thing that they be trying to do now, but they tried to ban our culture and our history from us so that way we would be just like all the other Greeks or all the other nations.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so we could be mentally and spiritually Gentiles, if you will.
Yes.
And of course, there are some of them that fought and did not consent to that. We obviously see through Judas Maccabees. That's why we have Feast of Dedication coming up, is a rededication of the temple, because we fought this, but the people who descended from those of our forefathers who fought against this, those are your traditional Jews that you read about. So when it says no Jew or Greek or no Jew or Gentile, they're talking about the descendants of the people who fought against this, and the descendants of the people who were not able to fight against this but had to be raised up as ethnic Israelites, but under the auspice of Greek citizenship or Greek culture.
That's right. Excellent point,
Ken. Salakia.
Go ahead, King.
Just to address Jeremy Thomas in the chat. You read the book of Hosea, chapter 1, verse 9, and couple that with the book of Romans, you'll see what that is actually taught.
Is this the same Jeremy that been getting spanked?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Hello, brother.
Yeah, that's what we're doing today. Shabbat shalom, brother. Just pay attention.
Here, Kyle. What's up, man? What you doing?
Right. Let's go back to this article. I think we put a nail on that one for sure. Let's go back to this article. This one here. So don't let no one trick you on that. When you're going from Helen to or Gentile, you gotta see if it's the word ethnos or Helen. But at the same time, you gotta understand the context.
That's right.
You have to understand the context and what is being taught. Right. So let's go back to the article.
Yeah, and then in that article, the dude makes a good point a little later down there. Okay.
We're gonna get there. Let's go to the origin of the word Gentile real quick.
Count it one. You got it, Nasim.
Counter to one. The origin of the word Gentile. The word Gentile does not come from either the Hebrew language or from the Greek language.
Hey, that's heavy because
the word Gentile has
like it. Most people thought it might have been, that's a Greek word. We're gonna find out where it comes from. Read.
The word Gentile has come into the English language from the Latin language.
It's actually a Latin word. Go ahead, Ak.
The Latin word gens or gentes means a family, a clan, a stock of people, a race, a tribe, a people, a nation.
That's all the word means. So when you look up the etymology of the word Gentile, it just means nation, tribe, what it said, clan, stock of people, race, a people. When they start adding this non-Israelite stuff, that's them adding their doctrine into the definition.
That's right.
Because the word does not mean that. Read on that.
Counter one. This is the root from our Slakia. This is the root from which our English word Gentile has been formed. Now it should be immediately apparent that gens has a considerable scope of meaning and of application. In the plural, gentes refers to multiple races, tribes, and nations. The plural Latin word gentes is mostly assured, is most assured not restricted to any particular ethnic or racial group of people.
That's a heavy point.
You gonna put up the etymology, Eddie, online?
Oh yeah, we could get it. That's a heavy point. It is not restricted to any particular ethnic or racial group of people. So that means you can't determine if it's not a race. If a race does not fit under the umbrella of gentes, because it's not specific to any one. It could be all, it could be this certain one, but to say it's not one of, you can't do that because the definition is simply a nation. And are the Israelites a nation? Yes. Are Israelites a tribe? Yes. Are Israelites a people? Yes. Are they a clan, a family? Yes. Right? So you can't get away from that. Let's get the go to etymology online real quick.
You know, and this is just for integrity, scholarship integrity purpose, because people could think that we lying. We just want to prove. We're not just want you to believe it because we said so. That's how you got in the twist in the first place.
Or just because this guy said so.
Right.
There you go, Cap.
Boom. You see, from Latin. Right, it's always good if you want to understand something. Check the etymology of it. Right, this is a great source. They even have an app you can put on your phone. Right, you see, so it is coming from Latin. So which means that if there is not a Hebrew origin of it or even a Greek origin of it, but we are trying to apply that thought as if it's like a law, that's how you can get caught up in a twist.
And look how they got it here too, though. See, a lot of these apps and websites, even Chat GPT, they are indoctrinated by Christianity. Look at the first thing it says: one who is not a Jew. Yeah, child, one who is not a Jew. How? Oh, because we haven't proved it yet. See, we haven't got to that segment of the class where we're gonna totally debunk this.
Right.
We're gonna totally debunk one who is not a Jew. And it's already debunked in the definition. It's already debunked in the definition because the definition tells you a nation. So are the Israelites a nation or not? Right, let's go back to the article. Let's jump to this.
Counter one. However, that is not how the English word Gentile is used in the Church of God today.
And we know that.
Or in our English language translations. Is it? When people in the church use the word Gentile, then they wish to make a racial distinction. So commonly accepted meanings are all of the racial descendants of the man Jacob are Israelites, and all other human beings are Gentiles.
That's the doctrine of Gentiles.
Mm-hmm.
That's the doctrine of Gentiles. Right? All Israelite nations, they're going to be called Jew, Jewish, Israelite, and that's the point the dude was trying to make. But every time it says Gentile, is speaking of all other human races. Like the other one said, they really have dumbed us down. Like they made us simple out of we can put it on the screen. They made us simple as heck. like to where they've made it to where we don't even read. We just believe what they say and have no understanding at all. Right? I don't want to say please take notes. All right, let's keep going. Let's keep going before we dive into some scriptures. Okay, let's get the Hebrew word.
Counter to 1. The Hebrew word translated as Gentile in the Old Testament is goy, the plural being goyim. Throughout this article, I will present these two words, goy and goyim, to indicate whether we are dealing with the singular or with the plural of this word.
Right. So now we have two words, right, that we're dealing with. We're dealing with we already dealt with briefly the Greek word Helen. So now we're gonna deal with two words that can be translated as Gentile. Goy in the Hebrew and ethnos in the Greek. Right. And we already determined that both these words, whether goy in the Hebrew or ethnos in the Greek, they both mean nation, tribe. Let's read it. Matter of fact, let's read it here.
Counter to 1. In biblical times, the word goy could not possibly have referred to one individual. So goy means one nation or one tribe, and goyim means nations or tribes. But goy could never refer to one person alone.
Mm-hmm.
With that basic understanding, let's take a look at how this word is used. The word goy.
Go ahead.
The word goyim is used as goy/goyim is used 558 times in the Old Testament. It is thus a fairly common word. In the KJV of the Bible, the word goy/goyim is translated by 4 different English words.
Let's look at what are the English words?
Mm-hmm. The English words are nation, heathen, Gentiles, and people.
So goy can be translated as 4 different words: nation, heathen, Gentile, and people. Isn't that the same as the Greek word ethnos? We're gonna get there. I can't wait till we get to that point. Let me see. There's another point. This is a good article, but for time's sake, we can't read it all. Like we can't. Y'all gotta read this on your own. This is a good article.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking for that point you had, Red Eye.
Go down.
When he talked about them being the same, because he going over like he got scriptures. It's times.
Yeah. Well, there's them being the same. Go to.
Wait, hold on. Let's read this.
The word Gentile.
Let's read this. That's where the unjust bias, unjustified. That was their unjustified bias.
Counter 1.
Let's read this.
Shortly, we'll examine the New Testament, and exactly the same picture emerges, that the Greek word, sometimes translated as Gentiles, should really only have been translated as nation or as people, and not as heathen or as Gentiles.
So what he did here is showed you why. Yo, this is y'all gotta read this, man. We don't have time to go over this, but he basically showed you why the real definition is only nation or people. That's the only way to translate goy or Gentile, Salaki, ethnos. It's the only 2 ways to translate it: nation or people. Any other way, they're inserting a dogma. Even get into this. That's a heavy point. He get into the cool and gay. Like, that's a good point. Go ahead, Aharon.
Okay, so scroll down where it says, what about the Greek New Testament? So one thing very important, he makes an excellent point. You see, read where it says, but to actually expect, and then the what you want is right there too. Read where it says, but to actually.
Right here.
Counter one. But to actually expect the Greek language to have a word that would mean all non-Israelites is like expecting the English language to have one specific word that means all non-Cubans, or expecting the German language to have one specific word that means all non-Chinese people,
So
or
you see,
expecting the Italian language.
It was no point for the Greeks to come up with a word to mean all non-Israelites. Why would Edom come up with a word to say us and everybody but them? They have no motivation to do that. So to say, hey, this Greek word means this Gentile or whether it's ethnos, Helen, or any other thing that you want, means all the time non-Israelite peoples is a fallacy. They have no motivation to do that. We don't have a word for every non-Sri Lankan person. Maybe in Sri Lanka they do, but it doesn't exist in the English language. So to pre-impose that assumption on there is a big part of the fallacy that people have when they try to render Gentile to mean one thing or another, and they go into it's you cannot do that, right? Now go down to where it says boom, 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 right there, the third stanza.
Let's read this first. Let's read it from the top, though. This is a great point. And people act like they don't understand this. Let's read this.
The word Gentile in the New Testament. The Greek New Testament word that is translated as Gentiles is ethnos. The word is used 164 times in 152 different verses in the New Testament. It is the KJV of the Bible, translated by the same 4 English words that we found used for the Hebrew goy, nation, people, Gentiles, or heathen.
What he just said is goy and ethnos are basically the same word. Just one is in Hebrew and one is in Greek. The same word, meaning they have the same definition, nation or people. That's it. Read on.
Ethnos is translated 93 times as Gentiles, 64 times as nations, 5 times as heathen, and 2 times as people.
Look at the bias, though. Look at the bias. 93 times as Gentiles, 64 times as nation, which it should be all the time, probably. 5 times as heathen, which with the famous one we know is in Galatians 3, which that should say nation or people, we know. And then 2 times as people. Come on, look at the bias in the translator. But like I don't want to always say, this is mature. This conversation is a mature doctrinal conversation. You have to be mature to have this conversation, right? Because this could tempt your, this could shake you in your faith. What do you mean that they translated it wrong or the translators had biased? That could shake you in your faith. No, that's why we're doing these lessons, to show you that the translators, yes, did have bias. Diction, yes, does not determine doctrine, and you got to go to the original language. You cannot forsake the manuscript and the manuscript traditions. You cannot forsake those. You cannot run away from the church fathers, because they had doctrines that prevailed and were killing people behind it, i.e. Trinity. That's why people believe in it, because if you didn't believe in it, you died. If they found you with a different doctrine, right, Arius, you would die. So you got to know these things and understand where these doctrines come from. Right? Let's keep reading, King.
Counter one. Comment. The word Helen is used 27 times in the New Testament. 20 times it is correctly translated as Greek, but 7 times in 6 verses it is incorrectly translated in the King James Version as Gentile or Gentiles.
Mm-hmm.
In two of those places, it is translated as the singular Gentile, Romans 2 and 9 through 10. And in the other 5 places, it is plural, Gentiles. We will ignore these as 7 obvious mistranslations.
And that's something y'all got to do your research on. Like, we don't have time to go through all those scriptures right now and check them out. But what he's basically saying is the word Helen should not be translated as Gentile. And simple. It should not. That's not the right definition. That's not the right transliteration. Helen does not translate to Gentile or Gentiles. It should translate to Greek. Period. Read on.
It should not come as a surprise that in the Greek language, LLX or Greek Septuagint version of the Old Testament, the Hebrew word goy is usually represented by this Greek word ethnos. The Greek word ethnos and the Hebrew word goy mean the same thing.
This is a heavy point. This is a heavy point. And this is the point that the elder's been making. I can't speak for other brothers, but I know the elder has been making this point for years. Since we came into this thing. Right? That these is the same words, especially when we started getting into, especially when the Ottoman was pushing, get into these manuscripts, get into the, like, and we the Most High allowed us to discover these things. It was obvious that they playing mind games with these words, man. They trying to trick you with these words. Let's get some script. Let's get the classic. The classic Genesis, right? The multitude of nations. All right, that's the one that I always go to.
Genesis 10.
Genesis.
Ephraim.
For Ephraim shall become a multitude of nations.
Oh.
It's Genesis 48 and 19.
I said 48. Okay. 48. We're going to prove this point. We're going to prove this point really quick. Okay. Read that out. We right here.
Counter one. And his father refused and said, I know it, my son. I know it. He also shall become a people, and he also shall be great. But truly his younger brother shall be greater than he, and his seed shall become a multitude of nations.
So the seed of who we talking about, Ephraim, shall become a multitude of nations. Let's get the word. Let's get the word just to confirm. We all know it's goy. Right here, multitude of nation. But look what it says, usually a non-Israelite, non-Hebrew people of Israel, right? They try to throw that in there. And it shows you just nation. That's it. That's all it means, nation. All right. So how do we fact check this? How do we fact check this? Oh, they actually did it for me right here. Right? This is the Greek Septuagint right here. Right? I don't know if y'all knew that, right? You can go right here on Blue Letter Bible and you can put LXX. And now we can get Genesis, right? 48 in the Greek Septuagint, and we can go to it and fact check. Verse 19, right?
Counter one.
And we can fact check it now. We can find the word nation, which was transliterated as goy in the Hebrew in the Masoretic text, and look at the word here. Ethnos. But now look.
Mm-hmm.
Non-Jewish or non-Israelite is what they mean to say. But wait a minute. Isn't Ephraim called an ethnos right here in the LXX? What are you talking about? That's how you know these they have that bias.
Right.
Same
Goy. So, like, can you go back down? Go back down to the last point. The last point. Right there. Yeah. G 1484.
Uh-huh.
Right. Go back down. Go back down. The last point. Go up, go up, go up, go up, go up. Point 5 in the outline of biblical usage. You see, it's the same word that Paul uses for the term Gentile Christians. So a lot of times you get caught up in a twist, and that's why you think, oh wait, you know what? Paul's saying this, so it can't mean this because it's not Helen, or it's saying ethnos, so it's talking about a different people because it's non-Jewish, and that's why how you end up thinking that Paul is talking about somebody else. Because
we got a new member. So like a new member on the scene.
Hey, so y'all about to the water.
Shabbat shalom, King. Go ahead, Aaron.
But you see, and the misunderstanding of this or inserting your own doctrines or using a dictionary to determine your doctrine is how you can read Paul's letters and get confused.
That's right,
because you think he's talking about somebody else. But how the same word talking about the children of Ephraim is also talking about who Paul was talking about, which is specifically why, we brought out Acts 13 and 13 like 2 weeks ago to understand who those ethnic Gentiles Paul was even dealing with.
That's right. But Brother Ariel brought out a good scripture as well.
My brother.
Right, that I had in the chamber too. Right, so we go back to the KJV. Right, we go to Exodus 19. Right, 19 and it's 6. Yes. Right, and then we look at this word. We know without a shadow of a doubt this is talking about Israel. And ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. The word is goy here. Goy. Now, when we do it in the LXX, right? Exodus 19, same study, right? We can find the word ethnos here. So it's not a matter of do you speak fluent Greek? Do you speak fluent? No, the work is done. I just gotta go and dig. Right? You just gotta go and dig. The work is already done. Right? We understand that there's bias. So once I start digging, I'm gonna find the lie because they can't hide it all. If you just stuck to this and you read the Strong's definition and they said non-Jewish, well, that's what it is. Heathen, that's what it is. But once we started digging for the information, it was like that don't make sense because why then in the Greek Septuagint is Israel be called a priest in a holy nation and the same word is ethnos? Why? Why? That's why the author of this article said this. Read it one more time.
Counter one. It should not come as a surprise that in the Greek language, Septuagint version of the Old Testament, the Hebrew word goy is usually represented by this Greek word, ethnos. The Greek word ethnos and the Hebrew word goy mean the same thing.
They mean the same thing. Go ahead.
So let's see in the New Testament. So let's see whether in the New Testament this word ethnos is used to signify all non-Israelites, or whether it is used freely Slake, or whether it is also freely used to refer to both Israelites and to other nations.
And that's what we have done. And that's why we say we're the vanguard of biblical doctrine, the Israelites. Because they've ran, all other religions have ran with this lie. But it was for us, let me take that back. It was for the Most High to put it on us to go out and search these things and find that, yo, this is simple. The word Israel, the word Gentile does mean both, right? It can refer to an Israelite or other nations. It just depends on the context. So we can't let the diction of a word determine the doctrine or the context. It can't determine the context. One word does not determine the context, which they love to do. Right? So he makes a point here where he talks about going among all nations, right? Which is a good point to show that we got to go to every nation, because why? We're scattered amongst every nation. We make that point all day. Right, but let's read this point. Haran, you were showing me this earlier. Read this, Nassim.
Counter 1. Again, here Jesus Christ certainly include the nations of Israel in all nations. That is where the gospel has been published more than anywhere else. So if the other nations are Gentiles, then by this statement, so are the Israelite nations.
That's right. Come on.
For he loves our nation, ethnos, and he has built us a synagogue. Luke 7:5.
Right. So you see right there in Luke, it's a conversation that Yahushua is having, right? And the word used for nation is ethnos. And if that meant all the other people, then that would mean that Yahushua is teaching, hey, you know what? This is not just for the lost tribes of the children of Israel, but it's for everyone under the sun. But we know he didn't teach that, because we know those accusations didn't come up from the Pharisees. We can read the book of John chapter 5 and 18 to hear the accusations by the Pharisees. But we know that they would have responded negatively to that, because they did so with Paul, misunderstanding what he was saying. So if they thought that Yahushua was teaching by saying ethnos that is talking about all non-Israelites, then obviously that would have been another charge that they would have brought up on him. But we know he wasn't. Why? Because of Matthew 15 and 24, which is why even in his doctrine, he's like, bro, I got to go to all the 12 tribes of the children of Israel, which is why he sent Paul on that mission, which is why John 7:35 said, okay, wait, is it time for him to teach the Gentiles that are scattered amongst the Gentiles? Because even though he can use ethnos, it's understood that it's still pertaining to the children of Israel, just because it means a nation. Okay, and get that in John 11:48.
That was the next point. Right on cue.
You know, and then of course another one to land me back on Genesis. Let's get that Ezekiel. I don't know how, but it's like we end up bringing the same scripture up every class in Ezekiel. It's so cold, right?
Sure, I got you.
Ezekiel 37 and 22.
Right here.
God.
This is every time the word nation is used, is ethnos. Every time. Like from 48 to 52. It's like,
right.
Go ahead, Kat.
And we know that this right here, verse 47, it says, then gather the chief priests and the Pharisees of council, saying, what do we do? For this man doeth many miracles. If we leave him thus alone, all men will believe on him, and the Romans, which is an obvious distinction, shall come and take away both our place and nations. Can we please see this? Yeah, the water. I want to see, what does it say for Romans? What does it have for Romans? So Romeos, whatever. Okay, but obviously a distinct people group, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it come and take away our place and nation is still ethnos.
That's right.
Which obviously proves that even the Pharisees or the chief priests at the time, the Israelite elite understood that ethnos can mean us too, because we're referred to as a nation. And we get caught up in the twist. Why? Because we make that fallacy as if the Greek language has a word specifically for non-Israelites. If that was the case, then maybe they would have used that. But when you start thinking that, that's where you get tripped up every time.
That's right.
When it just doesn't mean that, you know? And give me that Ezekiel 37 and 22, talking about that nation. So this nation we know is talking about the southern kingdom, right? Which is why Caiaphas says, what does Caiaphas say right after that? He said, you know nothing at all.
Yeah.
Right? And why? Because Caiaphas, he realizes what Yahushua was coming to do.
Call it again, Ezekiel what?
37 and 22.
Right here. That's a good point. Good point. Bring that out.
Now we know that this is talking. I feel like it started verse 21, or I will. It says, "It's saying to them, thus saith the Lord God, behold, I will take the children of Israel from among the heathen."
Let's look at that word real quick, though.
Come on.
Let's look at the word heathen. And look at it. It's goy.
Bingo.
All right. Hey, now let's see how the Greek translates this. Hold on real quick. Let's do this study real quick. This is live. It's going to be live because we didn't look at this prior to. 22, right?
Come on. No, that one was in 21. We was getting to 22.
21. Okay, Shalat.
Hey, you see that word curios? I don't want to talk about that word curios too. Good paying attention.
Oh yeah, facts. Right, and look at this right here. They have ethnos as well for the word heathen.
Mm-hmm. Amen.
Right.
Amen.
But go ahead,
You see how interchangeable that is, but the context is what? The children of Israel, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it says, I will take the children of Israel from among the heathen, whether they be gone, and will gather them on every side and bring them to their own land, right? And I will make them one nation in the land in which the mountains of Israel, and one king shall be king to them all, and there shall be no more two nations or divided into two kingdoms, because Caiaphas, the high priest, they understood that goy or nation can be applied to a tribe, it can be applied to a kingdom, it can be applied to the whole thing, and that you have to understand the context.
That's right.
In which I tell you, the Bible is a book that it relies heavily on contextual knowledge. It's not a book that you could just read and understand without knowing what's going on. It already assumes that the reader, because that's why it was by us, to us, for us. You know, so it already assumes that we have a certain level of base of knowledge about how what our culture and our practices. It's implied in there because it wasn't meant for anybody. You know, so now we see it's saying that that two nations are going to be turned into one nation, but it's still talking about the children of Israel. And the word used there is goy or ethnos, right? what Ezekiel understood when he said, take away our place and nation. When Caiaphas understood was Ezekiel. Since we already here, let's go to Ezekiel 36 and start at 17.
Hey, real quick, too, Cap. This might be one of the best scriptures to go to prove Goy and ethnos can be referred to as either the heathen or Israelites, because it's right here in your face. It's in verse 21. You can get it in the Masoretic text, or in the Hebrew rather, and then you can go to the Greek Septuagint and get it there and see ethnos in both places. It's right in your face, so you can't get around. Like that's the conversation stopper. What's the word for heathen in this verse? The Greek Septuagint, it says ethnos. Now, what's the word for one nation in the Greek? Ethnos. So can Israel be an ethnos? You gotta concede that point. Like, that's paper thin. Put the toilet papers in the chat. Put the toilet papers in the chat, because that is paper thin doctrine. Which one? 37? 36?
36, and we can start at 17.
No, we still in the
Oh, if you're gonna read it in Greek, all right. I was gonna say, all right. Right. It says, son of man, when the house of Israel dwelt in their own land, they defiled it by their own way and by their doings. Their way was before me as uncleanness of a removed woman, right? Wherefore I poured out my fury upon them for the blood that they shed upon their land, for the idols. Yeah, you see exactly where I'm about to go. Where they polluted it, right? And I scattered them among the heathen. What's the word for heathen?
Just get it. I clicked the wrong one, and I scattered them right here. Go
among the heathen. But then literally the next chapter is used also to talk about the Israelites. This is why it says, when he go to disperse amongst the Gentiles and teach the Gentiles, it's literally the same idea.
And it says that, and they were dispersed through their country. To scatter, to fan. Right? Can't get away from that point. And that's like a dagger in the coffin. Like,
dagger, man.
If I don't want to still hear, like, there is no more arguing after that. Like, bro, if you're arguing still, you just trying to win and convince your audience at this point, because the proof is in the pudding, as they say. The proof is in the pudding. Right? So let's conclude with this, because I think it was just that simple. Like, I don't think we need to drill it home. Like, I think that's the point.
Like, at this point, it just is, we just making a point over and over and over. But it's like, you already got, I know y'all saw that video when CPS, he yoked up that CPS dude. If y'all didn't, y'all go watch it. Oh, it was cold. But this is that. Nothing you can do.
But I do want to look at his this dude's conclusion, right? Mr. Frank, whoever Frank is. I want to look at this conclusion. Let's read this. Some of it.
Into the English language translators. When the KJV translators came along, they all understood that ethnos in the Greek and gen or gentis in Latin both mean people, nation, tribes, etc. All the translators understood the Greek and the Latin words correctly. Their problem was the Hebrew word goy. Yes, they understood that goy means nation and people. They couldn't avoid knowing this from the hundreds of places where they correctly translated goy or goyim. But they were also heavily influenced by Hebrew scholars who at that point in time had all brought into the Pharsitic idea that goy supposedly also means heathen.
That's interesting. Come on.
The only Hebrew scholars around at that time of the KJV translation were the spiritual descendants of the Pharisees. These scholars had all their lives been conditioned to goy, supposedly also meaning heathen, a convenient way to look down on people from other nations.
Mm-hmm.
So the KJV translators accepted this assertion and obligingly translated goy or goyim as heathen in 143 places.
Now, a lot of this stuff he has to fact check like this. There was only spiritually sensitive. Feel like he got to fact check a lot of these because a lot of the, not saying they weren't around, but you still had some of their disciples that could have been around, you know, that was teaching, proper Hebrew and or Greek, right? So a lot of this stuff, this is some of his opinion or some of his scholarly work that he just didn't cite, right? But a lot of this it does have to be cited to fact check. But keep going on.
Found another one. But they also coined the word Gentile from the Latin word gens or gentes. This word Gentile is based on the teaching of the Pharisees that all human beings can be grouped into Israelites and goy or goyim. So in our English Bibles, all human beings can be divided into Israelites and Gentiles.
And that's wrong.
Yeah, and read where it says "and" is already mentioned because it is similar to that point, but a good summary. Right there. "And" is already mentioned.
It's right here.
Okay. And as already mentioned, there is no biblical justification of any for this Latin-derived disparaging title, Gentile.
You see? Because it just doesn't exist. The idea or the thought doesn't exist. It's going to explain where it's coming from. It is nothing.
It is nothing other than a barely disguised racial slur on those who are judged to be not of Israelite stock.
It's slang. It's slang. And when you understand that it's slang, but it's not actual factuals, you know what I mean? It doesn't have the etymological basis of non-Israelite, then you got a better understanding. And you start reading in context.
God, that's a killer right there.
Watch this. Read this.
The word Gentile is not based on anything in the Hebrew text.
It can't be. Because it's a filler word. That's basically what this article is teaching us. That Gentile, it's really a filler word because the root definition just means nation. So you could just put nation there and everybody understands. We don't have to guess or assume. But when you put Gentile, you can formulate your own definition. And that's what they did. Read on.
So it really has no direct connection to the Old Testament. The word Gentile is also not based on anything in the Greek New Testament text. So it has no direct connection to the New Testament either. The word Gentile doesn't have any roots in the English language either. It was imported from the Latin language, the mother tongue of the false church.
That hurts.
That's it. And they consented that we should all be one nation. And that was the start of our, we already was falling, but that was like the dagger in the coffin when we decided to assimilate ourselves fully in the Greekish fashion. Let's read that. 2 Maccabees 4.
I'm there on one.
Start at 10.
Count to 1. It's the book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 4, beginning at verse 10.
Start at 9. It's just so much.
Count to 1. Beside this, he promised to assign 150 more, if he might have license to set him up a place for exercise and for the training up of youth in the fashions of the heathen, and to write them of Jerusalem by the name of Antiochians.
To do what?
which when the king had granted.
No, read that part again.
Slakia. And to write them of Jerusalem by the name of Antiochians.
So the Israelites that go practice the exercise, he's going to write their name as the Antiochians, man.
Mm-hmm.
Read on.
Which when the king had granted, and he had gotten into his own Slakia, and he had gotten into his hand the rule, he forthwith brought his own nation to the Greekish fashion.
Read.
In the royal privileges granted of special favor to the Jews by the means of John the father of Eupalamus, who went ambassador to Rome for amity and aid, he took away, and putting down the governments which were according to the law, he brought up new customs against the law.
Just as wicked priest, high priest John, read.
For he built gladly a place of exercise under the tower itself, and brought the chief young men under his objection, and made them wear a hat.
It made them wear a hat. Come on.
Now such was the height of Greek fashions, an increase of heathenish manners, through the exceeding profaneness of Jason, that ungodly wretch, and no high priest, that the priests had no courage to serve any more at the altar, but despising the temple and neglecting the sacrifices, hastened to be partakers of the unlawful allowance in the place of exercise after the game of discus called them forth.
Right. This is all the
not setting by the.
So like this is all the assimilation of the Greek culture, and this is the start of becoming a Gentile, quote unquote, because we understand that's just a filler. That word should not be there. It doesn't even fit. Why is in the English translation the Latin word there to describe? I could understand if there wasn't an English word to describe it, but there's the English word nation describes it. Simply, people describes it. Very simple. It gives the definition. All right, keep going on.
Counter 1, verse 15. Not setting by the honors of their fathers, but liking the glory of the Grecians best of all.
And that's what our people like. And the same thing with these elections. Whether you voted for Kamala Harris or you voted for Donald Duck Trump, right? You like the way of America best of all. You was crying. Eve was crying. Eve at my job said she was going to go cry in the car. Another Eve said she wanted to go get drunk. A lesbian, my supervisor, she was pissed. Right? These people was upset, man. These people were upset about this election.
Was crashing out. All on social media, they was crashing out.
And then you think about it, like Kamala Harris didn't have the odds. They were against her because all you catered to was black women and homosexuals. It's not enough people. That's why you lost by 5 million votes, because there's not enough people. Like the odds don't add up.
Oh shit, I can talk about this all day. Somebody read verse 16.
Come on, man. That's all it was, and she got paid. Like,
the point is at 16. Go ahead.
Bring it out. Come.
Counter 1. By reason whereof sore calamity came upon them.
You
for
see?
They had.
Go ahead.
For they had them to be their enemies and avengers, whose customs
that is the problem. You can't have the same people who are trying to be your enemies and persecute you to save you. These same people who beat your back in are not the same people that's going to teach you the truth about the scriptures and who you are. And that be the problem. The same church, the same Christian church, Catholic church, pick one, that funded your slavery and contributed to your your destruction. You're going to them for understanding. And that's why you're getting caught up in a twist. Same thing. That's why people are so disappointed right now. You was hoping for the Democratic Party to save you. You hoping for the Republicans to save you. Anybody to save you. And that's why absolutely, yep. Yotham said, hey, it preset this from Lamentation 4:17. We look to a nation to save us that cannot help us. And you said you cannot make your oppressor be your avenger at the same time. Period. All right. Read that from the top again, and I'll yield.
Counter 1. This is 2 Maccabees 4:16. By reason whereof sore calamity came upon them, for they had them to be their enemies and avengers, whose custom they followed so earnestly, and unto whom they desired to be like in all things.
Going off.
Hey, so the
And the
conclusion
people
of
don't like that. They jump right after that. Look, they don't like that.
the conclusion of this lesson is learn this. That Gentile word is just a filler word. When you break it all the way down, it just means nation or tribe. Any group of people can be a nation or a tribe. So the definition of non-Israelite, whether it's ethnos, goy, and or Helen, is biblical and transliteration bias from the Catholic Church, and we stand on that. And we're willing to debate anybody on that position and point at any time, anywhere. That the word Gentile is not strictly used to just mean a everybody outside of Israel. Right. So with that, let's conclude with let's stay in Maccabees, man. Let's stay with the Maccabees. Let's go to First Maccabees. Like it, 2 Maccabees 2:50. And get us decree to the brothers and the sisters. First Maccabees 2:50.
Okay. It's a powerful decree.
This is the book of First Maccabees, chapter 2, beginning at verse 50. Now, therefore, my sons, be ye zealous for the law, and give your lives for the covenant of your fathers.
And that's what we got to do in this life. You may not have to literally give your life like the Maccabees did, but spiritually, mentally, right? You got to give your life and dedicate yourself to the study and the practice and the applying and understanding of the Most High's law, statutes, and commandments, and a faith in Yahweh. That's how you be the living sacrifice. Studying, applying it, living it out, practicing what you preach, being dedicated, staying consistent. That's how in this life you're giving your life. If you don't have to give it physically, right? That's how you're giving your life and dedicated and being zealous for the laws and for the covenant of our fathers.
That's right.
That's the only way out. Right? That brother's got anything else?
Yeah, just read the next verse.
Call to remembrance what acts our fathers did in their time. So shall ye receive great honor and an everlasting name.
That's what it's about, y'all. And we know our forefathers, specifically the Bereans, searched the scriptures to see if these things were so. That's what we're doing. And they were considered righteous for that.
That's right. Hey, so with that, we the Sons of Thunder Israelites, is our heart's prayer and desire for Israel that we might be saved. I'm Captain Yaquab.
Captain Haram.
Soldier Nakawasha.
Soldier Nassim.
Hey, Shabbat Shalom, family. Shalom.
Wow.
Thank you for watching. If you wish to donate, you can use Zelle or PayPal. We're the Sons of Thunder. It's our heart's prayer and desire for Israel that they might be saved. Shalom.